wait, I can have fun on this and my mom can? Like wait, no, like if
It's like, it's Facebook.
yeah, like.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Bikes X Bourbon. This is actually episode 11.
Episode 11.
I'm Russ from the Path Less Pedaled.
I am Toffer from the Bike Path.
Something looks different.
It's still me. Still me. I'm still got the you know.
Yeah.
Little trim.
A little trim.
little trim. It's spring.
It's spring, right? Doing some spring cleaning.
It's been some years. Yeah. Yeah. The vacuum accidentally.
The Floby. Yeah. For this episode, we're going to be talking about Otter, which is happening as we speak. An article by BikeSnob on Outside magazine about whether we're really in the golden age of cycling or not, and gravel. We'll talk about gravel.
We'll talk about
and
bourbon.
Also, yeah.
And we have a queen of the bourbons.
Yes, Laura Crawford, queen of the bourbon.
Queen of the bourbons.
This is from Kentucky. She got this in Kentucky.
Yeah, this is not Kentucky straight bourbon. This is straight from Kentucky.
Exactly.
Bourbon. We got Rabbit Hole.
And it's won awards, you can tell, because it's got things.
As you can tell, the bottle is almost half gone, so it's been enjoyed. It is good. We were kind of sampling it.
Yeah.
You know, kind of, you can't just go straight into bikes and bourbon. You gotta
Loosen up a little bit.
Loosen up a little bit.
It's like, I don't know, stretches for the mind. So Rabbit Hole.
Yeah, so it's just, but it is a straight bourbon.
I get like a sweetness, but that's not the overarching kind of flavor. There's like a smokiness to it. I think I was trying to describe it to you earlier, but it kind of, to me, at least, it tastes like incense at Sunday Mass.
Right.
Without the guilt. You know?
I just know that that's been so like seared into your memory.
It has. Like, I don't know if that's the char from the barrel or something, but it's not like bam sweetness. There's things going on.
Yeah, it's nice. It's there's definitely some subtlety to it.
I think like it again. This is one of those ones where like the more you sip on it, the more it kind of opens up.
Yeah, definitely. I think that I'm gonna have to like sit with it a little bit longer because there's definitely, you're like, whoa, this is interesting. There's something going on here. This is not just your super typical. I mean, it is in some ways just a straight bourbon, typical what you would expect, but also
But there's something different.
You get notes. Yeah, if you know what I'm talking about. They have earned putting this label on there.
The dingly bit.
So. Otter is going on, and for our interest in kind of gravelly bikes, the supple life, Otter never really seemed. I mean, it seems because
it's a mountain bike.
It's a mountain bike thing,
but it seems like a lot of brands are using it as like almost a product launch event for lots of things.
Right, and then I think especially now as like gravel and mountain, and I mean like a lot of these bikes, it's all kind of mixing, and like inspiration is being taken from, one. Like one area and kind of used in another, and I think that is maybe most prevalent in Niner.
Yeah,
because they have this prototype, 3D printed.
Is it really?
Yeah.
No way.
Because it's a prototype,
okay.
So it's just like they basically wanted to see if they could actually like put all the bits on it, and it would like kind of look right and work, and like that all the like. It would come together.
Yeah.
And so they
what is it?
They 3D printed it like in, I don't know. It's like
magic.
Magic. That's why it's magic carbon. It's just 3D printed.
It's essentially like a full suspension gravel bike, right?
Yeah. It has like the RockShox fork on the front. Yeah. They don't even know how much travel the fork is going to have. Like that's how proto this is.
It's like, we'll print it and see if people crap on it on the internet.
Because we can do that now. We have a 3D printer.
Yeah. I have to say that's a smarter move than like Canyon with their Grail, you know? Sure. They should have 3D printed the Grail and been like, so what do you guys think? Yay or
the hover bars. And people would have gone like,
no.
Oh, good thing you just kind of.
Good thing you just printed it. It's not for real. Here's a question. Do you think gravel bikes need the full squish?
No, I don't. I am definitely. I mean, I guess I'm kind of like I don't know if it's like purist, retro grouch. like what you want to call that.
Just makes it more complicated.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like heavier. It's like more stuff to break or to have to fix in the field, like when you're on a ride. I guess one of the things that made me think of was your experience with the Redshift, right? The Redshift stem. And that gave you like how much travel?
Like 2 centimeters to 20 millimeters worth of travel.
Yeah, I mean, like, and that's, I think, what they're saying maybe that the stuff that they're putting on this new Niner bike will have like 30 to 40 millimeters of travel.
But for a price.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just don't understand.
I have mixed feels because I feel like, I do think, what's interesting about this whole gravel thing, like I feel like in road, like stiffness and lightweight and aero are kind of the buzzwords.
Right.
And in this emerging like gravel space, it's going to be suppleness, like micro suspension.
Right.
And I don't know. I mean, I think we're going to definitely see more of this. I don't think that like you, I don't think it's necessary. I think you can get more kind of functional suppleness out of the tires. Right. I'd love to see like more tire development.
You can do stuff with tires. You can do stuff with. I mean, even just like if you're getting like, I mean, if there's something like where your, like your wrist or your hands or you're getting beat up there. I mean, there's different handlebar setups you can try. There's different like adding more or less wrapping of your handlebars in different places. I mean, there's kind of different things. Like if you're trying to just find like little tweaks to maybe like, there's other like less expensive options. All this awesome development in the bike world as far as like different kind of like starting to mix styles of bikes.
Yeah.
It kind of almost gets too crazy because you're just like, well,
it's a wild west right now.
Well, if you wanted that much squish or like something like on a bike, like you should maybe ride like a kind of a sportier mountain bike.
Right. Like a more cross country or something.
Yeah. And you could run narrower tires on like a cross country mountain bike.
And I think that's where a lot of these companies are missing the boat. They want to sell us new stuff and not focus on like things like tires that can actually provide a lot of suspension without like costing, without like driving up the price.
Right. And I will say though, I mean like the bang for their buck that Niner is getting with like, I feel like kind of people are talking about this bike and they did because they were able to like put this product out there. People are talking about them.
Test the market.
Test the market. Like Niner does really interesting things. At Sea Otter, it's kind of a fun place to play. And like, you're down in California, like you're in Monterey. Like
there are worse places to
to
show off your printed
throw
goods.
Throw it out there and like see what people think.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's a smart move from Niner to like test out proof of concept, put it out in the public, see what the reaction is.
And
yeah, it's something I think like Canyon should have done.
The whole 3D printing thing is just funny to me, and the fact that you can kind of like, I have this idea. Let me hold that. Let me hold it. Like, and like you can just do that so quickly. And it's just absurd.
Honestly, I kind of wanted a 3D printer. Because I have all these like sideways ideas that I just are in my head. I'd love to see them in like
like, oh, that's cool, or
like or it's not.
Or like when you go to a meeting, you can like take a bike show. You can actually take like the thing and be like, hey, do you think this is worthwhile?
Right. Kickstarter.
I have my prototype.
Right. So you saw another interesting bike.
The Radivus posted about a Speedvagen that SRAM had at their booth. SRAM Road had at their booth, and it's a 650B Speedvagen. And
was it a road or? I assume it's a gravel bike.
Yeah, it has. What's kind of interesting. So like Speedvagen does these kind of custom limited runs where you like pre-order and. But the way that they're selling it is. Like they have like the 650B by 47 byways on there, and which is a nice. I haven't ridden those tires, but it seems like
pretty good. I feel like I haven't done the formal review yet. I feel like it's 80% to like the Compass switchback hill.
Okay, comes with fenders.
Oh really?
Yeah.
What?
I guess it's a Portland bike, so
yeah, I guess
they kind of like it's like a nod to like.
So 650B Supple Life is coming into its own, apparently.
Yeah, so Speedvagen got SRAM to put it in their booth at Sea Otter.
Yeah.
That's like it's that mainstream that like you can kind of take a road bike to Sea Otter.
Right, and people are like, yeah, I get that.
Yeah, cool. That makes sense. I see what you're doing. It's not just that like this is a standard and we should just go along with it because it's like the best.
Right.
It's like, no, those different tire sizes can make sense
There's a purpose for having
there's a purpose, and so I think that people are recognizing that. So it's like, oh, we shouldn't like stop production of 26-inch tires because that's not cool anymore.
Right.
It serves a purpose, and we should offer those because there will be an audience for them.
Right. Yeah, my biggest fear is that people will look at 650B as like a fad or a trend or something, but this is like I've been wanting tires and bikes that use these tires for like over a decade.
Right.
And it's like I think they serve like a specific type of rider and like a style of riding. So.
Well, this is what.
Okay, do you want to read the comment?
Yeah. So Travis wrote to us and said, "I was thinking about getting a gravel bike. Great idea. Mm-hmm. But the part of Virginia I live in doesn't really have gravelish terrain. Mm-hmm. Should I still get one for my daily commuter and winter rides?"
Yeah.
But I like that type of thing. It's like yeah, like even if you don't take it on gravel roads a lot, even if you maybe only do that every so often to go on some ride that you want to go on, the kind of specific thing, like yeah, as a commuter, these would be a really comfortable, fun bike to ride.
Where's that book? Coming up on PLP Talks, I interviewed Nick Legan, author of Gravel Cycling, and we actually talked about this idea that if you I mentioned it in the rant, if you took the word gravel out of the phrase gravel bike, what you have is a people's bike. You have a bike that's not super aggressive, a bike that's comfortable, a bike that will take bigger tires, so it's more plush, more supple, and it has, most of them have, the fittings for rack and fenders.
Yep.
So it's kind of like the everyman's road bike. Forget about the gravel and adventure for a second. But as Travis Waters asked, should you get one? Absolutely. Even if you don't ride gravel, just change the tires to kind of suit the terrain. And I think you'll find, and other people will find, that it's a good like everyday drop bar bike.
Yeah.
So another reader comment. Which one are you going to read?
I was going to go up here for us.
Let's do that. That's Tommy.
Well, just because I was thinking about
So I'll read the comment. Tommy Friedlander.
Let's get the comment, and then I'll say my piece.
Tommy Friedlander, as a self-professed bike nerd, it seems you want to pronounce bike component makers' names correctly.
Seems like you might, maybe.
So specifically, it's not a big deal. Just saying Sagino is Sagino.
Sagino, not
Sagino.
Not Sagino. It's Sagi, like the butter substitute.
So, okay. So assuming that's right, Sagino is Sagino. Did you know that?
Well, I did not.
I've butchered many a bike name.
So what we need to do, we're gonna start a website that is bike pronunciations, and we're gonna get audio recordings of people saying all of the brands, because there's, talking about the SRAM Road booth.
Is it SRAM?
Is it? Are we scramming? Did you scram? Is it the scram road? Is it the SRAM? Is it the SRAM?
So Yeah, I still remember that's actually one of the things that bugged me as like a newbie cyclist was you'd see bike brands, right? Like for the longest time, I would see Bianchi and I would pronounce it Binacci, or I don't know where that would come from, or like the LA, I'd be the Ali's.
Right.
It's like you don't know what you don't know, and it's like you can bust people's balls about it if they don't know, but it's.
And we're always willing to be. I'm always happy to be corrected, and I'm always happy to keep pronouncing it the way I always have, which is the wrong way. Right. There's just words that are even common English words that I just never. I just read them in books,
right?
And I never had anybody pronounce them.
Yeah, you hear your voice.
So your own voice, you just figure out however you pronounce it, and so whenever you read it, you know what you're talking about,
right?
And then you're talking to somebody else, and it's like
they look at you funny.
Yeah, they look at you funny because they're like, "What's that?" And
panniers, Panier.
Yeah, so there's just certain. I think that's fine, and that's what's great about community.
Right.
There's people that will help you along and correct you.
Right. So I'd love to know, what are the bike brands or bike terms that you guys have mispronounced? Leave those in the comments below. I don't know.
SRAM is definitely one that.
Yeah.
Because I say it SRAM.
I see. Yeah, I see. But I've heard like SRAM or I don't know.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Or also like
I always feel like
Mozzie. Like some people pronounce it like the S is a Z, and some people are like it's a Mossy. The Sea Otter, amazing bikes, lots of strange combinations. In some ways, a golden age in cycling.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, all these things that are
in
happening.
terms of like, for the consumer, like the technology, electronic shifting, you can have, wide range doubles, supple tires. So I think like the gear is at, I don't know if it's at its peak, but it's really interesting times. BikeSnob recently read an article on Outside Online that said, yes, there is that, but is it really the golden age of cycling? And the thing that he brings up is, I love, like, he brings up gravel cycling. He says, yes, you can ride off-road, these gravel roads, but in some ways it's kind of a response to like the predatory nature of our streets. We're riding on gravel roads because we're afraid of getting killed by cars and traffic. So kind of two sides of the coin. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess my initial reaction was like, yes, I can understand like why people maybe are less likely to do road centuries and try to find gravel centuries to do and things like that. Like, I get that, but I think also maybe I don't have this statistic exactly right, but I mean, I feel like there's more commuters and people commuting more.
So the exposure in general.
So like, but I mean, definitely, like I think with social media, it is easier to see safety stuff. And I also like, so like one of the most common fears for cyclists, new cyclists, or I think like when you see the studies, the science, they say like fear, like safety is the biggest reason why people like are hesitant to cycle, or like they don't go out as often, or they say safety. But then it's also like we're told that like it's kind of like a feedback loop that's almost created, because then like bike brands are always creating new ways to be safe.
Like Garmin's like weird radar stuff.
Yeah. So like it's kind of like I mean, if you're always being told that you're not really safe. And then, of course, I mean, distracted drivers are like a real thing. I'm not trying to like, as somebody who bikes a lot of places with like my 3-year-old with me on my bike, I'm definitely aware of like keeping him safe.
But I feel like for me, like, I don't know if it's because I'm just plugged into like a cycling feedback loop and news, but I just seem to hear about more crashes or just fatalities. It seems like it's more frequent. And I don't know if like it actually is, or if because my news feed's so curated to serve that to me, but it seems like a more dangerous place on the road.
Sure. Yeah. No. I mean,
that's perception. I don't know if that's reality.
Yeah. No. I mean, definitely like that's like a real concern. That's a real thing. And so I definitely think that's, I mean, I think that when I think about routes, like for fun, when I'm like, I want to have fun on my bike and I want to go out. I do think like, well, I want to get off the road as soon as possible. Like I don't want to just be like grinding out more than I have to on on the shoulder, on the narrow shoulder of a road. And so there's something to be said for the fact that roads are like less safe, and that maybe prevents us from living in like a true golden age. The one thing I didn't understand, and I wanted him to flesh out, and I also want to just acknowledge if we're going any further, that BikeSnob is a dude. We're two guys talking. So like and he brought up like women in cycling. And like how Susan B. Anthony was like talking about the empowerment of the bicycle, and like and then I was like, but then he kind of like brought that up, and then he didn't really flesh that out. And so I was wondering like that aspect of it too. As far as the golden age, like I didn't know what to make of that, because I was like, oh, that's an interesting point. And I was like, wait, what's the point? Like,
I think he was looking for a place to shoehorn that quote. It's a good quote.
Such a good quote, and it's about golden age empowerment, feeling.
It's about word count, man. Outside Online was like 700 words, and he's like, bam, Susan B. Anthony.
Anytime I could throw Susan B. Anthony in here, I'm gonna do it.
Like one of the big attractions to like gravel riding and bike packing is a lack of traffic. So in some ways it is kind of, like a response to the predatory nature of roads. But it's also because like that's where like I feel like the more interesting riding is. You get great vistas, it takes you a little bit further.
Right. The other thing about, definitely. Because I am not a very good like technical mountain biker.
Right.
Like
You're better than me.
I'm like, and like that's not always like technical stuff is not always the most fun for me. Like I like a little bit of like a flowier trail, which is why gravel descents are like just like a sweet spot for me. And like I just like you have kind of road to play with. So like if your line kind of stops with like a rut, you have multiple options. You're not just kind of like all of a sudden in a rut. Like you might be on some single track.
It's not super technical.
It's not super technical, so you're still having like fun doing it. You're not feeling like, oh, I'm not riding these switchbacks very fast, and I'm getting frustrated.
That's my big attraction to it, because I'm a newbie mountain biker, so whenever I'm on like single track, all I see is like the narrow line of single track.
Yeah.
Like I have no like appreciation of the surroundings.
Right.
But when we go on gravel rides like the one that we did yesterday, it's like, you know, it's technical enough to be interesting.
Yeah, kind of keep you focused.
But not so technical that you can't like soak in the environment.
Right.
That you can't appreciate like the landscape you're going through. Whereas like if that were like on super technical single track, I'd just be like,
like keeping my wheel, my holding.
It would be the dirt version of like, you know, trying to ride on the fog line on a paved road.
Right.
It's a place where mountain bikers and road cyclists can meet in the middle. Mm-hmm. You know, it might seem a little too tame for mountain bikers, but at the same time, you know, maybe a little bit more aerobic output. And for pure road cyclists, it might seem there's some technicalness to it.
I could see like gravel or the dirt road riding almost like being a nice gateway for people getting into mountain biking.
Right.
Because I feel like if you tell people like we're gonna go on a mountain bike ride, they're like.
Right.
no, I'm okay. I'm good. I'm gonna like garden today.
Yeah.
And if you're like, hey, we're gonna go like on this gravel ride, they're kind of like, oh, like I can do that on my bike,
right?
Like on this like road bike, or like, oh, if I do that on my mountain bike, I'm gonna like it'll be really smooth and easy. So
it's a good middle ground.
It's a good middle ground, and so I see why people like doing it. And in some ways, I think though that being that middle ground, I mean, that is part of like the golden age. Is that like we're not being force fed, like we've talked about a lot on this show. We're not being like force fed the pro peloton anymore.
Right.
Like you want a carbon bike and you want all this stuff, and it's like. I mean, I think part of the golden age is that like we're not being sold that stuff as much anymore. There's other markets, there's other niches for you to like explore to get away from that.
So one of the things I asked Nick Legan, which will soon be on PLP Talks, is he was talking about Dirty Kansas specifically. I think he said he did his first DK in 2011, and at that time. You know, it didn't have any attraction to pro cyclists. So there were people that finished first, top 10 back then, but would never be top 10 now.
Right.
Just because you have people like what's his name, Ted King, another pro cyclist riding it, and like so the front end of the group has gone super fast. And I asked him if like he felt that would kind of take away from the scene, because would it feel like somehow invaded by I don't know. Would it feel less grassroots?
I don't think so.
That's what he said. Essentially, that people will self-select like events, but there's always going to be the people like mid-pack, end-pack riders that will go for their own reasons.
Right.
Do you think we'll ever see like a pro cyclist like tackle something like the Trans Am race, and what that would do to I don't know that whole.
Well, or
even something like the Great Divide, Tour Divide, which is going to kick off in a couple months.
Right. Well, you see like you already see like Lael, I feel like pushing things, and you see, like there's that Godspeed movie. Have you seen the trailer for that? It's like it's about the race across America.
Okay, Ram.
And it's just like those guys are like super intense, and like they are, doing what people might take, 2.5 months to do, and they're doing it in like
17 days.
Yeah, like 2 weeks. There's already some of that happening.
Right. I would be curious to see, like, if like Ted King, or like Lachlan Morton, or like Phil Gaiman,
sure.
Former pro Peloton cyclist, took on something like the Trans Am or Tour Divide. What they would be capable of, and like what it would do to the rest of the event. Like, would they attract more pro cyclists, or would like the amateur like endurance athlete be turned off, or I don't know. Interesting times.
Yeah, I guess to me it's always kind of like, I don't know, it's like whenever your like favorite band signs to a major label. And you're like, oh no, they're so much better when they were like, I heard them when they played like the small club and there was like 6 of us there.
Yeah.
Compared to.
There is that phenomenon when something gets too popular or like the wrong people start attending the show, like you kind of lose interest in it.
I mean, I'm also going to see Pearl Jam this summer, so there is something like that. I mean, once again, like I don't think it has to be cut and dry. Like, like you've ruined this for me. Like, no, because I think gravel dirt riding will always will remain popular after it maybe recedes in other places because we have that type of riding here.
Right.
And so, like, why would you not take advantage of it?
Yeah.
And like in the Midwest too, and there's just so many options for that. It's like, of course you'll do it, but I could see where some of those trends will like morph into other things. I mean, I think that's why like really fat bikes and like maybe the more like plus bikes are popular, like more, I think are retaining more popularity than fat bikes, because like fat bikes are kind of like a really super niche, and they were cool and they like caught people's attention, and it was like mind blowing what they were, but then it's like, oh, that maybe could we refine it?
Right.
And so I think some things will be taken, and people will race, and people will do races that are stupid long distances on weird fast bikes, and you're just like, oh.
Well, there's always like, you know, like in everything, there's always like the extreme, and then you reel it back just a little bit, and that's where it ends up landing. And like for me, like I hope, like I don't think, like in terms of like gravel cycling and hopefully 650B as a trend, I don't think it's a fad, personally, and I think it'll be here to stay, because I think once people get on these bikes or try this kind of riding, they'll realize that it's pretty accessible. You know, I feel like it's more natural to ride a comfortable drop bar bike with big tires on like a gravel road than it is to like kit up and do like hot laps, you know.
We have another.
So what's the last comment?
I love that we should just end every segment like, and that's why bikes are awesome.
Bam. All right.
That's how I feel.
So this is from a comment from LeMonster1. Great conversation about cycling in this edition. My take on adventure cycling is that it is much more versatile than being either a roadie or a hardcore mountain biker. And that's true. Like I feel like, you know, like now there's this emergent like middle that's being historically underserved. But now that, you know, it has a bike and like kind of a lifestyle surrounded around it, then we're gonna see more stuff develop around it. Not having to drive your bike to destination to meet up with your fellow quote-unquote tribe members is awesome benefit of do-it-all adventure bikes. That the ability to ride anywhere with appropriate gearing makes for much fun. Too much bourbon. Thanks for continuing to push this content out there.
Or can you just not read? Uh-oh. Have we learned something about Russ this episode?
Yeah, it's all like phonetics. Not actual words, just like phonetic symbols.
That's why we mispronounce things so much.
Right, I didn't have the right phonetics for Sagino. So the point is, what's the point? So the point is we live in exciting times, maybe a golden age, but definitely one where, you know, there's this big kind of thing happening between road and between pure mountain, everyday cycling, everyday adventure cycling, and it's cool.
Right. I mean, one of the things is like these are bikes that like I want to go out and explore on, but I also like, it's like my mom should be riding this bike because it's like a comfortable bike to ride on, and you don't have to get some like a big cruiser anymore to get like some suppleness in the to get a little bit of like suppleness out of the tires. You can just kind of do these other things. So it's like, but I think that's also hard to market, or that can be confusing to people, that it's like, wait, I can have fun on this and my mom can? like wait, no, like if
it's like, it's Facebook.
Like that's not, if my mom does it, it's not cool. And it's like, no, these bikes are cool for everyone.
Rabbit hole. It's very quickly disappearing into a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Oh,
it's good.
So good. I don't even.
Yeah.
I think I'm getting. I think
there's a reason it has the double gold, like dingly bits. Anyway, I think we've had too much bourbon. Thanks for joining us today, and once again,
keep the supple side down.
Cheers.
Cheers.